It's the Daily Math Problem Triple Threat Edition because we were off last week. Pause it, try it, come back for a full explanation. Sometimes the SAT will group multiple questions under the same instructions. So we're just going to start with number 15. If given a certain number in step 1, what's the end result in step 5? So all we're going to do is take the number they gave us and follow the steps. We take the 6.127, and the first thing we do to it is multiply it by 100. When we multiply by 100, we're just going to move the decimal point over by 2, 1 for each 0. The resulting number will then need to be rounded, either up or down based on the decimal point. If the decimal point is less than 0.5, we are going to be rounding down. But if the decimal point is greater than 0.5 or equal to 0.5, I missed that part there, then we're going to be rounding up. Because our decimal point is 0.7 and it's greater than 0.5, we are rounding this thing up to the nearest integer to get 613. And the fourth step is just to add 12 to it. Very nice and simple. 625 is our answer. But wait, there's more. Number 16, based off of the same directions, which number could be printed in step 5 after following steps 1 through 4? Since the answers are the end result of these 4 steps, we are going to take those 4 steps going backwards, and let's figure out which answers just don't make sense. Looking at A, we're not dealing with negative numbers. Even at step 1, we're choosing a positive number, and there's nothing that will make it negative. If we look at the 10 and take that 4th step backwards, we again end up with another negative number, which again doesn't make any sense for this problem. Since C has a decimal and step number 3 tells us to round, we know the end result cannot have a decimal. Left with 2 possible answers, let's take a look back at step number 2. Remember, in step 1, we had to choose a number between 0.0 and 9.9. So the largest number that we can do is 9.9. And if we follow those steps, we're going to get 990 rounded will give us still 990 plus the 12. So the maximum number we can end up with is 1002. Clearly, answer E does not fall into that. And for question number 17, we're being asked how we can rearrange these steps and still get the same number printed on step 5. So the answers are only dealing with steps 2, 3, and 4. Let's just write them down as a reminder to ourselves what those are. Again, step 1 and 5 do not have any bearing on the answer. And we're just going to take a look at the answers one by one and test to see which ones work. Answer A tells us that we need to switch steps 2 and 3. If we do that, then we'll be doing rounding first and multiplication after. I'm going to go back to question 15 and use that same 6.127 as the example number here. And remember, we rounded based off of the 7 because the first step there was to multiply by 100. So if we multiply by 100, we get 612.7. But if we now reverse the steps, we get a 6 first and then multiply by 100. We get 600, which does not equal to the 612.7. Now, answer B tells us to switch steps 2 and 4. And after we add 12 to the original 6.127, we see that we end up with 18.127. And if we round this thing and get the 18 afterwards, once we multiply, we need to get the 612.7. But 18 times 100 does not equal to 612.7. So we're going to be moving on to the next answer, which is switching steps 3 and 4. And steps 3 and 4 are the rounding and the addition. So the number that we're starting off here is 612.7. Before we do any kind of rounding, we're going to add the 12 and see the result. And as you can see, adding the 12 had no effect on the decimal, which is responsible for how we round this thing. In both cases, we round up, which is not affected by the plus 12. We know D is incorrect because A and B were wrong. And we also see that E is not going to work because if we switch 3 and 4, it is not affecting the end result because 613 is the original number plus 12 still gives us the 625 that we would get if we just rounded. Follow for more practice.